With update 1.2 on the horizon, aimed to come out near or before the end of September, and the things we can expect are confirmed, the religion overhaul, the expanded missive system, etc., I am curious to see what we can expect in the following update, update 1.3. Before I continue this video, I wanted to give a quick disclaimer that I am not a developer whatsoever, and these are simply things that I personally think would be really cool to have implemented, assuming they are possible to begin with. With this question in mind, I asked you all what you would like to see given a couple choices, and I was fairly surprised at the response. I've seen quite a few messages from players in Discord and otherwise who are interested in seeing new enemies added to Wildlander. I'm one of these people myself. I've also seen some sentiment about wanting spell additions from some of the other largely popular magic-based mods. Interestingly enough, these two were the least chosen options from the poll, and the leading choice by a notable margin is the addition of new lands. While at first I was a little shocked to see this result, I thought about it for a little bit and I think I get it. Who wouldn't love new environments such as Worm's Tooth to take on the Wildlander experience? With tons of quality adjustments, changes to enemy difficulty based around Requiem, not to mention visual changes and whatever else the dev team could surprise us with. I think one of the biggest difficulties with adding such expansive mods to Wildlander is explained well by Kai C's response, which is that new locations would need to be altered quite a bit based around the Requiem system, which is quite a bit of work considering the detail that goes into these projects. Due to this, I don't think we could expect these types of additions for quite a while until Skyrim has been more fleshed out by the team itself. Tied in second place from the poll being a werewolf vampire overhaul, as well as a melee combat overhaul. With these two, I wasn't incredibly surprised to see it being a popular choice because I think a lot of people really enjoy being able to shapeshift into these powerful beings with, unique abilities that are grounded in immersion and roleplay, coupled with entire quest lines dedicated to just these transformations and some backstory. Additionally, with vampires being so difficult to play in the current game, I think an overhaul for them is definitely needed, as I find it very difficult to survive when my bloodlust increases like once every couple hours. Talking about melee combat in Wildlander, while it does have some interesting new mechanics and strategy to learn, especially when compared to vanilla Skyrim, but it does get old as time goes on, losing a bit of its freshness. This could definitely be refined with additions to the mod pack, such as precision, which changes the value of each jab, or new and interesting weapons with unique attack styles, such as a spear with a potentially smaller area of damage, but allowing you to hit your target from much farther away. This type of variation adds much more room for players to play in different styles and different ways. Now, a word from our sponsor. Do you wear clothes? Of course you do. We all wear clothes. I hope. Well, I happen to have an in with someone who can make sure you get the clothes you need at affordable prices. When I'm shopping for clothes, I find so many stores that sell arms and armor, potions and alchemy reagents, as well as food for the hungry and drink for the thirsty. However, none of these places quite have the customer service that Indari and her sister Ta'ari have from the Radiant Raymond.
Are you a member of the college, or did you just steal those robes from a real wizard? It is when my customers waste time chatting and not buying. It's not an insult, just an observation. If I were walking around with a wound, I would want you to tell me to see a doctor. Your outfit is something of an open wound, where attire is concerned.
With their unparalleled care for their customers, as well as their extensive selection, I promise you will not find finer service or clothing anywhere else in Skyrim. This is the SK guarantee. Now I know what you're thinking. How does this sponsor actually help the YouTube channel and help me personally? Great question. With each purchase from Indari, you can save 10% using code SUBSCRIBE at checkout. You heard that right, 10% off your entire purchase with code SUBSCRIBE. SUBRICBG RIBE at checkout. speaking to what I personally want to see in Update 1.3, let's start with the biggest problem currently in Wildlander, and just Requiem in general in my opinion. I would really like to see the mid-game overhauled to fix the awkward period where you are steamrolling a certain set of enemies such as Draugr, animals, Forsworn, and even bandits, but you can't quite touch some of the harder enemies such as Daedra, Dwarven Spheres, or vampires. I've seen quite a number of people who share the sentiment that the mid-game for Wildlander is kind of a slog for this reason. The good news is, there are several different ways to resolve this problem. The simplest way that I can think of is to add a few new enemies to Wildlander based specifically to be challenging during the mid-game, while also giving the player a reasonable chance to overcome them as they improve. This would add new and interesting content to the game, while also fleshing out one of the more grindy portions of the player's experience. Alternatively, a solution would be to rebalance some of the currently existing enemies in the game to fill this void. However, this doesn't add new content, it just kind of retweaks some that currently exist. Because of this, I prefer the alternative option. If you haven't already checked out the dev interview with Dylan B. Perry himself, I recommend checking that out because he actually talks a bit about this and some of the other things I mentioned in this video, and what he would like to do in the future to resolve them. Outside of some balancing, I have always wanted a well-refined, well-crafted Druid overhaul for Skyrim. This with its own progression system that feels just rewarding and a number of different transformations to turn into, such as a spider of varying size based on your character's ability, as well as seamless controls for movement and attacks. While I don't know how realistic this would be, if any team were to be able to pull it off, my faith is definitely in the Wildlander dev team because some of the things that they've already been able to do have left me shocked. They could even add Druid-based spells from different mod packs, such as some of the mods from the Apocalypse mod pack or the Triumvirate spell pack, adding tons of new ways to play the game as a Druid-based character, isolated from the rest of society by and large. The last addition that comes front to mind for me, which I imagine plenty of others can agree with, is the addition of Inigo. Having had some of the most interesting and memorable experiences in Skyrim with our feline friend, I can only imagine all the trouble we'll be able to get into in the world of Wildlander. With that being said, this was the bulk of what I had to discuss for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and
Well, you know the rest.